Hello everybody, I am Ace Creeper and today I'm back with a brand new video. Today we are doing a very exciting video that I've been buzzing to make. So this is a little passion project of mine, this thing here, or at least it was. I was never intending to make a video on it, and the reason why was because it was just that. It was a passion project. It was something I wanted to do in my spare time. When I got bored, that wasn't video making. Something I could do to relax whilst having a podcast on or some music on. Something very background to go on my shelf. I am an avid fan of the Character Options Collector TARDIS boxes. And I'm anticipating a 13th Doctor box release, but we haven't had any sort of announcement or any sort of images yet. And knowing their past inaccuracies with classic boxes, I was always worried to see how they're going to be able to bring the 13th Doctor one out, because it's not the same design as the Tennant box, and it's also not the same design as the classic boxes either. So I decided I want to kind of cobble together my own. The reason I decided to do that was because I saw Vote Saxon 07's video, where he made his own custom TARDIS. Now he is a lot better and a lot more talented in that field than I ever will be. I'm just a guy who fancied making something and fancied giving it a try. I did it slowly but surely with a few tips and tricks and helping hands from a few people in the community who I will mention and give decent credit to. The main sort of idea came from Vote Saxon 07 though, who made his own version. I didn't take his direct route, so I will be going through a step-by-step of how I made this in just a moment, but first I think I'll just may as well kind of show you it. Not all the shots will be on this screen, by the way, because doesn't really do it justice, so I've taken a few like proper photos and videos showing off its different features and how it's different. So pretty much what this is a 3rd Doctor B&M box with the 11th Doctor TARDIS roof, or at least a section of the roof segment, not the whole thing. I've given it a paint job and a few design differences, mainly more notably the slits in the pillars here, which are notable in 13th Doctor's design, but nowhere else that I've seen in any other classic box. So I kind of wanted to just make my own out of what we had, so I've kind of put that together quite nicely, and that seems to work. It is made out of the B&M one, so there's no electronics, unfortunately. I'd love there to be, but I feel like even if I had done the electronics, it would have been a lot harder, and I would have definitely buggered it up. So I'm not on that level yet, but eventually I may add a little LED light with a little switch at some point in the future, but we'll have to wait and see for that one. But for now, yes, there is an interior card that I have made. It is just on a piece of paper, so it's nothing too special, but I have added the little crystals, so hexagonal designs onto the floor, which are accurate to the actual TARDIS as well, which is quite nice to see. And on the back wall, as you can see, we've got a nice photo of the 13th Doctor's TARDIS, photoshopped by yours truly to have a higher contrast, to make it stand out a little nicer, as well as adding this extra little light on the bottom there, underneath that one. Another notable difference that I've added as well is that on the inside of the doors, you may be able to just see there, I've added a little section where it's got the white inside of the door. I didn't paint the inside because I didn't have too much white paint left, but I did include it on the Photoshop. We'll go through those all in a moment though. For now, let's just talk through my step-to-step of how I did this. I don't have any footage of it because, as I said, it was a passion project, was never intended to go on YouTube, but a lot of people have been saying, yes, we want to see how you did it, we want to see this, we want to see it all in its glory and all that sort of thing. So pretty much what I did was I started off by taking the 3rd Doctor box, and you get a screwdriver and you try and lift open the roof. I've still got the roof here because I didn't have anything to do with it, and as you can see, it did fit on there quite nicely at one point in time. What I will say is, if you want to keep the roof and preserve it like I did, because you never know when you might need it, if you're making another custom in the future, be very, very careful. The 3rd Doctor box, as I've come to realise, is B&M obviously, and is made out of incredibly cheap plastic, so it does break apart quite easily. I found myself snapping bits off the plastic just to try and prise the thing open, which is a bit unfortunate. I'm not going to give you a step-to-step guide on how to dismantle this, as there are many and better tutorials online by people like Captain Jimmy Pie, etc. So check those out, because they are the OG of people of how to, you know, dismantle these things. I then took apart in 11th Doctor. Well, we're going to just use it a 10th Doctor box here because pretty much exactly the same. And as you can see, there's sort of like a few roof segments. So you go into it, you take it apart, you screw it off, and as you can see from the actual 11th Doctor box that I used, I just took the whole roof segment off. And from there I could then work out the size and scale that I wanted this roof to be. I went through a few different design choices. First of all was keeping the two-step design, making it a bit taller but also having that more accuracy with the whole steps. I later scrapped that idea in order just to keep the top section with the Matt Smith light, which looks closer to that of the Jodie Whittaker one. And as you can see, it fits pretty much perfectly. I'll have to show you that much closer, but on where you can take the original ones off, there's a few gaps in the pillars, but I just filled that in literally with a bit of cardboard, bit of super glue, painted it over, absolutely fine. So the roof is on, it's sturdy, it's nice, and surprisingly it fits really well. But yeah, so you remove the roof and then you will snip the sort of bottom bits off it. That's what I did anyway. Be very, very careful, because if you snip the wrong bit and you cut into the roof, it will always impact how your final design looks. I did make a mistake with mine, and that leaves a horrible ugly mark in it, and I will show you where that is in just a moment, just to sort of show you things can happen and they're not always great. And once you've got those two bits together, you can either super glue the roof on first and then go ahead with your painting, or you can just not and just wait it out. I personally waited it out. I took the box apart into three parts. I had the roof section, I had the main body section, and then I had the base with the doors. And these are very specific types of paints that I was recommended to by Ethan Customs, I believe it is, on Twitter, who has started making his own 13th Doctor box, and I took great inspiration from him, asking him exactly which colours he used. I wasn't ever expecting to get anything close to what the final one looked like, but damn, it's pretty close, and I'm really happy with that. So I will tell you now, it is they're both Games Workshop ones, so they're not your regular cheap types of paint, but it only came up to about $2.50 each, I think, including postage. So the main one you want to apply first is the Citadel Base Cantor Blue. That one, cover the whole thing in it. It just makes everything match. Obviously you've got a dark 11th Doctor roof and a really light 3rd Doctor box, and then a black base. You want to cover the whole thing so it's all one big matching colour, and you also, once you've done that, make sure everything's covered, make sure everything fits. Kind of like you've got your own darker TARDIS that isn't Whittaker's, it's just it all fits and it all looks like the same colour, and you can do that. Once that's dried, which it should very quickly, you'll then get the second colour, which is probably your key one for the 13th Doctor's actual colour design. And this is the, oh, get it right, Citadel Layer, make sure it's the layer, and that's the Thunderhawk Blue. And it's a lot like a light blue-grey shade, and it's meant to kind of be an overlay kind of one, but I used it very heavily, so if I were to do this again, I probably wouldn't use as much of that stuff, because damn, it is really like kind of that saturated grey colour. Well, I don't mind, because it is semi-accurate and does look like it, but the prop itself is actually a lot darker in wood. But overall, it looks good in most lighting and actually works and does that sort of thing. So if you want my major suggestions, it would be those two paints. You can find them on eBay for about $2.50 each, including postage, so it's pretty good, I'll be honest with you. I get them both at the same time as well, because if they arrive together, you can just start, and it's great, and it's a lot of fun. I also used white paint for the windows. They're not the best done. This is the last thing I actually did with this. The front is probably the one I put the most effort into, and as you can see, messy job on the side there, and a little bit of a messy job on there as well. Most of it is okay. I tested it on the back first to see if it would work, and then brought it to the front. What I did was I got some sellotape and kind of covered the rim of the window, and then just splotted loads of white paint in the middle of that window. Then remove the sellotape, and then what I did was Thunderhawk Blue, once the white paint's dried, and go over it and go over the frames. Now, in the show, the frames are a sort of grey colour, so if you want to be more accurate, feel free to get some grey paint. But I wasn't prepared to wait 3 or 4 extra days to wait for the grey paint to arrive, just to paint the frames a different colour, when I could just use the Thunderhawk Blue, which is the same colour as the box anyway, and just be happy with the overall look, despite it not looking 100% accurate, which I don't actually mind. I'd then suggest printing out the cards, so the dimensions for, you know, the police public call box signs and the pull to open door sign, as well as the interior card as well. I photoshopped that myself, but If any of you are wanting to make this yourself, I have included a publisher document download in the description. Print that off on the highest quality paper you can. That exact print will give you the exact sizes I used. So when you print it out, the police box signs will fit exactly in the Third Doctor box. The pull to open sign will fit exactly on the pull to open sign, and the interior card will flop in. I will say one thing though, is that if you're trying to use an electronic version, it will be different. This is non-electronic. So what I did was I actually completely cut out the battery compartment because it was big, clunky, and it was sticking out, and I wanted it kind of flat against the wall, just so I could push the interior card out so it felt like it went further back before the actual console. So if you're going to attempt it my way, use a Third Doctor box. It's cheaper. You're not going to be wasting as much money on it, because obviously if you're going to get an electronic version, you're paying more off eBay from people who bought the classic boxes years ago. Whereas a Third Doctor box is a B&M, easy to get your hands on if you can. So yeah, I've included the publisher document. If you want to download it and print it off yourself, feel free. I did get the police public call box signs and the pull to open signs from the wonderful TARDIS man, who makes wonderful models and 3D renders of different TARDISes from all over the ages, as well as doing some stuff in Gmod as well. He's a great guy, and it was a great help with this as well. Yeah, talking about that though, I did say I made an error when I was cutting, and actually it's really difficult to even see now. But when I was cutting the battery compartment out, I ripped a bit out, and the bit I ripped out, as you may be able to see, I'm going to try and point it out with a bit of old TARDIS plastic here. Right there, there's like a little cut. That's where I've had to super glue some of the plastic back in, because it actually ripped it out as well. I was like shocked, because I was right at the end of my build. I was like, no! Oh no, what have I done? And it's horrible. So don't be too quick. Don't try and rush it, because then you'll end up breaking stuff and you'll have to start again, or just scrap the whole project as a whole. Be very, very careful, especially with the Third Doctor box, because it's very brittle and can break very easily. I also used a second printout of the interior to cut out some of the crystals from the TARDIS and the floor panel, and then place them on the floor in a nice little pattern. Again, not accurate, but the show box, the interior, does actually have a few nice little lights on the floor there, in that sort of colour, so in a different pattern, but that's not too important to me, so I'm alright with that. In terms of price, for me to make this, from the stuff I already had, it cost me a total of £5, and that was just for the 2 paints. But if you're going to do this from scratch, it might come to about £35, I'd say. You're thinking about £20 for the Pertwee box set from B&M, and £10 for a second-hand or even broken 11th Doctor box. This 11th Doctor box I found in a charity shop for £2, so it's all your luck. Door doesn't open, that doesn't close, it's destroyed, it's horrible, it's broken, but it was £2 in a charity shop, and it has proved to be a very useful part to a custom that I will now treasure on my shelf. So overall, as a sort of closure for this, I'm extremely happy with how this has come out. As a side project, I'm making a YouTube video on it, so there is some element of pride there. Overall, it's not accurate. The Whittaker box is bigger and chunkier than the classic boxes, but thinner than the modern series boxes, so we haven't actually got a decent mould for that. I thought with Whittaker's figure height and the general sort of protruded design of these sort of out rims here, it would work a lot nicer just to customise a classic box and add a new series roof to have that nice slanted effect. The 7th Doctor box does actually have that nice slanted roof effect, but I wanted something a bit unique that didn't just look like a recolour of the 7th or the 1st Doctor box that Character Options have released. This is a totally unique box on my shelf, with its paint job and the way it looks, and honestly, I'm expecting Character Options to release their own with electronics, and if you're wondering, yes, of course I'll be buying that, and of course I'll be reviewing it when it does come out. But for now, as a personal project and a personal achievement for having something I'm genuinely incredibly proud of on my shelf alongside my other TARDISes, it's a fine piece to the collection, and honestly it wasn't too hard to make. So what I would love to say is, if you are thinking about it, go for it. As long as it doesn't cost you too much money. I'm not encouraging you to splash out loads of cash on it. But if you do attempt something, whether it be a customer of this TARDIS or, you know, Series 11 customer or anything along those lines, please do let me know on Twitter. I've got a Twitter account, so go and follow me on there. But tweet me something. Tweet me, you know, maybe your attempt at a custom, whether it's just beginning or whether it's continuing, whatever. Leave a comment, ask any sort of questions you want. I will answer any and all decent questions about this design. If there's anything you want to know that I maybe missed out in the video, maybe you've come to a point that you're struggling with, or maybe you just want to start out and you're not really sure where to go, just let me know and I'll try and help out as much as I can. But in the meantime, yes, a lot of the behind the scenes photos are on my Twitter, as that's where I was posting most of the stuff anyway. I'll probably include most of them on this video, but all the photos on Twitter kind of cover the entire design process. So yeah, I'm going to wrap that up there. It's been an extremely long video of me just rambling on about this lovely, lovely box that I've managed to put together. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like, comment below for any more suggestions in the future, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the Patreon page to support the channel if you so wish, that's absolutely optional. Check out all my social media stuff down in the description below as well, and I will see you all next time. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.